Welcome Bass family to another video from Everything Bass. My name is Dale Titus and I'm here to show you yet another slap groove. We're going on with slap groove number 4. If you remember, this series I've designed to give you little sample ways to put together some of the techniques I showed you in Fundamentals of Slap series. But if you don't have ideas of how to combine these techniques, these will give you a push-off start, a starting point. They're all original because I don't want I don't want YouTube to shut me down, but they're inspired by grooves that I've enjoyed and things like that. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, you may want to pause the video, go over to patreon.com/everythingbass and download slap groove number 4. That way you can follow along with the music and it might help, you might be able to execute the pattern better. So let's start, and in the true Dale Titus fashion, we're not going to go fast. We're going to go one beat at a time because that's how I learn things, and I think that's the best way to learn something new and not be discouraged. So beat 1, simple. We're going to be in G today because we're not going to slap only in E. Music doesn't happen only in E. So we're closing our pattern down to not include open strings. So with this, we're going to play G with our thumb, and then on the 5th fret on the D string, pop a G. Pop a G. So anyway, simple, one and. Big notes, don't mute them. You can make them staccato, which I think I do in this pattern. When you want to make a note staccato, just release the pressure that you're holding down with your fretting hand. If I thumb with the G, I just let up the pressure, but I don't bring my finger off. I just let up enough pressure that the note stops. Same with the pop, and I can get really short notes. So here we start with that. Now beat 2 is 4/16 notes, the first 2 being muted, and it's that classic ricochet lick where I just let my hands hit the string, get a clunk, and I pop and get a clunk. And then after that I followed up by thumbing on the D string, 3rd fret, the F, hammering on to the G. Let's isolate those 4 actions. Got it? Now if we include that with the first beat where I'm playing the octaves, it sounds like this. And coincidentally, that's exactly the first measure. I just play that set of 2 beats twice. So on beat 1 and beat 2, I play the pattern, and then I start it over on beat 3 and beat 4. And it sounds like this. Cool groove. Not mine originally, but don't tell YouTube. Okay, so we've got that much down. Now we're going to go through a progression because again, we can't just slap on one tonic. We want to be able to play through a song. So in this case, we're going to go up and do 2 E's, 3rd fret on the A string, thumbed. So that's beat 1 of the 2nd measure. Now we do a ricochet again, and you'll notice in sheet music I have the ricochets as they have little flat cymbals in front of them. It's just because the way the notation works, but I actually kind of move down to this B flat because that's what I'm going to be doing next. So in the process of moving down, I do my ricochet and I do 1 B flat. Let's put those 2 together so I hopefully don't lose you. I go, so I'm going C, C, B flat. And then it's just a walk up, which is really simple, from the 1st fret F, 2 thumbs. That's on beat 3, and on beat 4, 2 F sharps. And then I slide up and start again. So it's like. Like that. I kind of jiggered the last thing. It should have gone right back into an octave. Now, some people have been questioning or asking me to show the patterns much slower and count so that you guys can actually come in and play with me. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to count in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then slowly play it so you can play along. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. I hope that helped. So that is slap groove number 4. Today's encore item is something that, again, another great album for just not only great bass playing, but changed how I approached my musicality and my own recordings. and that is Primus's Sailing the Seas of Cheese. Sailing the Seas of Cheese, that was not the first album I heard from them. I actually, because I was a Northern California kid growing up and always kind of followed the music from Northern California, I was aware of Primus pretty much from their first bootleg recordings. This recording I chose because it just has so much great music on it. So not only with like Jerry's a Race Car Driver, the cool tapping part, which again no one had really done like that, and to sing at the same time, Les, you're killing me, man. But you go through all the songs on it. Each one, the bass line had such a unique identity, and I loved that. Meaning that every bass line was like a character in a play. It wasn't just like, oh, he's just playing a similar bass line to another song. No, every song was so unique, and every bass line had its own identity. And I'm stressing that because sometimes I can listen to an album, great album, maybe it's in the hard rock genre or classic metal from the 80s, and the bass player's playing like riding eighth notes. That's what the song required, and that's what he or she did, and great. But I do appreciate when someone, as a bass player, as a composer, in every song, there's a new technique or there's just a new way that he or she's approaching the song, the bass line, that it's a unique. It can't be taken out and put into another song. It is that song, and that is this album. Start to finish, this album's great. The other thing that really inspired me by Les was I was fortunate enough to interview him when I was editor of Bass Frontiers magazine. And it was a phone interview. Still to this day, one of my favorite interviews. Les was knowledgeable, funny, not pretentious at all, not egotistical at all, just joyful and really free with sharing knowledge, and I enjoyed that. But throughout it, I got this, and through reading other articles by Les about his recording process. One thing I admire about Primus, or any of Les's solo albums, or other bands, I shouldn't call them solo albums, is he likes to leave a lot of the mistakes in. And from the 80s, there was a thing with popular music in the 80s where everything was like really struggled. I'd heard stories of like producers working for an entire week just to get the snare sound right. And then another week on the kick drum, and before they spent a month just on the drum tracks and things like that. And that's okay. And I was kind of buying into that. So in my own recordings, I was like antiseptic, I guess. I was going through and I was just making sure every note was perfect, and I was going back and like correcting things and punching in and punching out. And I would listen to the recordings, and they were technically, exactly what I wanted, but they had no energy or live spirit at all. It didn't sound like, it's kind of a truism right now, or it's been for a long time, where you want your studio recordings to capture your live show, because live show is where all the power and the passion and the energy and all that. And sometimes when we get into a recording situation, we would just be so sterile that it's technically a perfect recording, but it doesn't have that energy. And Primus albums have energy. They sound like you're sitting in the front row at a live show. So I started rethinking how I do my own sessions and my own recordings, and I stopped being so anal retentive about every little thing. Now, obviously, if there's a big clam, I would go and fix it, because I can't have a huge mistake, and you can't either, that maybe changes the entire structure of the progression because you played a wrong route. But we're talking about little things. Like if maybe you execute a little bit of a thing and it's a little out of time, don't necessarily rush to fix that, in my humble opinion, because once I stopped doing that, my recordings sounded more live. I was happier with my recordings, even though they had some flubs in them. Secondly, I did, just for family members, I made, my wife, daughter, and I put together a Christmas album at one point where it was just bass. I call them BOAs, bass-only arrangements, of Christmas classics. And on one of the solos that I took playing over one of the Christmas carols, I thought I cheesed a mistake, but kind of with this new spirit of like, well, you know what, it's not what I intended, but I'm going to leave it on. And it's funny because people who have heard the recordings, they'll comment, oh, such a cool thing you did in that solo. It was a mistake based on what I intended. Now, if you analyze it, it's just using different scale tones, but it wasn't what I intended. I almost wiped it out, and it turns out it's what most people like the best. So if you can learn from that and maybe take some pressure off yourself, and let your recordings breathe a little bit. It's really great. And then if you haven't checked out Primus, check out Primus. Oh my gosh, check out Primus. Crazy stuff, kooky stuff. There's some atonal soloing from the guitar player at times, but just try not to, don't put blinders on. Don't compare it to anything. Just listen to it on what it is and be amazed, man. I love Primus. So Primus, Sailing the Seas of Cheese, and of course Slap Groove number 4. Thank you guys so much. As always, I thank you, but I don't want you to think it's white noise or some kind of reflexive action. I don't mean. This channel is awesome, and I love what it's becoming, and it's not awesome because of me. I don't want you to think that. It's awesome because of what's happening. Join or follow my Facebook group. Just search in Facebook, Everything Bass with Dale Titus. Hit the like and follow. There's conversations going on there. I've been giving out like daily practice suggestions, like I think I call it theme of the day. Like the theme of the day is major triads. Just if you're having a struggle finding direction and you're practicing. But better all, we share. Share recordings, share ideas, share thoughts. We share jokes. So that's part of that. You can do it here in the comments below. You guys are, been really good so far with making comments, what you like, what you don't like. As always, you can express what you wish would be better, like the audio. I'm working on that. But I want to make sure that this is an environment of positivity. So let's not cut each other down. Let's not be derogatory. Let's just create an environment where we can share and learn. And but yeah, comment section below. I have an Instagram. I'll promise to be using it more. I just haven't been. It's been a little overwhelming getting this whole thing launched. But I've been really active on Facebook, and I've been really active here, where we've been in talks about getting a podcast going. So yeah, this is going to be growing into hopefully a community. It's starting as bass lessons on YouTube, but that's just a starting point. I'm really excited to where this will take us all. And so please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, if you're getting something out of these lessons and you really want to support me so I can do more and offer more things in the future, please subscribe. Patreon.com/everythingbass. By going there and subscribing, you'll be able to, for a very small monthly fee, have access to all my written materials and more materials that I'll be doing exclusively for my subscribers. And that money I'll be able to put back into improving my capabilities here. So thank you so much. Thanks for stopping by. Let me know if you have any questions about the slap groove. If I can explain it better, just comment below. And I will see you at our next video. Thanks, man.